I found this article about the usage of cell phones, and I think that this is really important to talk about because it is probably... Get off your phone.
I'm actually going to do something. Go ahead.
Don't say spousal abuse that I smacked you in the arm. Hello, I'm Sam.
I'm Brandon.
And this is the Middleton Methods podcast, where you get to be a fly on our wall and get practical tips, gain insight, and laugh at our expense. Are you mocking me?
I'm lip syncing you.
You're going to be on my poop list today. My poop list of people that I am not happy with today.
Uh-oh.
And I will add you to that list. There are a few people. I got bugs up my butt today, apparently.
Wow.
And you will be one of them if you're not. I'm just warning you, that's all. I'm giving you fair warning to stay on my good side today.
I don't know what I did, but all right.
You haven't done anything yet. I'm just letting you know that.
So, I think we'll go ahead and have a Middleton Madness for next week.
I'm letting you know that it's already turning into one of those days, and I'm trying to steer it in the opposite direction. So what I need you to do
long weekend
is just be a perfect husband all day long.
Okay. Hey, no pressure. I thought I always am.
You are not always a perfect husband.
What do we got?
Today's a standout day for you to come out on top.
What do we got? No pun intended. What do we got for our Middleton Madness this week?
Oh, Middleton Madness is... Okay. I want to talk about the hurricane for a minute. We're usually not very worried about things like this, but Irma is headed our way. And after we watched Harvey completely drown Houston, I think it was like a little wake-up call for now Irma, who's gone from a Category 3 to a Category 5 over the last 24 hours, that this is like something really serious. And so we're getting a little worried, a little nervous. I think back in the day, we've ridden out a few hurricanes before.
Hurricane parties are the best. 2s and 3s, I think, is the highest. Katrina was supposed to hit Tampa, and we're like, oh, we're going to stay, and it turned and went up, right? So we did miss Katrina. But that year, we had gotten hit with a couple of 2s and stuff in there, and we just rode them out. But it was a lot different when we were a single couple. It was and young and dumb, I guess, right? Oh yeah, we'll just ride out the hurricane and grab some drinks and invite friends over, and we're gonna have a hurricane party. Who cares if we lose power? Some flashlights and some candles.
Now it's you could literally get stranded, stuck in your house, and people will have to come rescue you, or I don't know. And you have 2 kids,
or you could die. There's
you
always
could
that.
die. You have 2 kids. We have 2 kids. You have 2 children. I mean, I'm free to do what I want, but you have 2 kids to think about. It gets scary.
Yeah.
So I've been watching
are we gonna board up the house and hunker down, or are we leaving town? What are we doing?
No, we're not hunkering down. Are you kidding? The last thing I want, and mind you, yesterday was we had just went through Labor Day weekend. By the time you hear our podcast, it's been a couple days. So we just went through Labor Day weekend, and we got extra water for our party, and I'm actually keeping my fingers crossed that we didn't burn through the water because they're sold out of water everywhere. Just 3 cases.
Yeah, and we still had some, and I have 2 5-gallon jugs, so we're good on water.
But we're not going to be here regardless, is the case, right?
Yep.
How do you feel about it? Just tell me, maybe with a little more energy, because you're all sitting back relaxed today.
Honestly,
Because this is a little nerve-wracking for me.
No, I mean, my first instinct is actually to prepare the house.
Oh, yeah, his crazy butt. He said, shouldn't I just stay and you go somewhere with the kids?
Ever. This is only the second home that we've owned. So
I know.
I'm thinking about, when you're renting a house, it's not your problem. So now I'm oh my gosh, we need to protect our house. But of course, that would be a Category 2. But a Category
and I think we would totally ride it out if it was a 2. But because it's really and especially it's just not that bad in our area. And when it hits, if it was coming at us as a 2 or even a 3, by the time it hits land, we'll get hit with some bad weather, but it would just die down. They're talking it's going to hit Florida as a 4, possibly even stronger. Yeah. There's not many things that are saying it's going to be weaker.
So once this podcast is over, I think we are going to be
putting some things on high ground and starting to look at, we'll probably drive somewhere. Probably drive instead of fly.
Drive instead of fly. That
Pack up what we can.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And you want to hear Middleton Madness, tune in next week when hopefully Brandon remembers the recording equipment and we'll be recording a podcast from somewhere with the kids screaming in the background.
Yeah.
Because they'll be out of school.
Load up the car with our most valuable paperwork, backups of the hard drives, all of our pictures.
Are you going to pack up all our technology?
Pack up our tech, yeah.
Yeah, right. It's going to take up the whole car. There won't be room for the kids after he packs up all the tech stuff.
I won't take all the tech stuff.
We'll strap the kids to the roof, and then we'll head out of here. So we have no clue where we're going is the point.
Yep.
This is all coming about this morning because the storm literally went up 2 grades. And, like, this morning I was looking at it, and I'm like, oh, it turned into a 4. And then literally within, like, an hour, it changed into a 5. Like, it's just a little scary. So regardless, if you're in, it looks like it could hit Florida, it could hit Georgia, or it could hit the Carolinas. If it hits Florida, it's going to hit all of those states and stay at least a 1 or a 2 heading up. It's not looking like it's going to die down into a tropical storm or just rain for any of those states. So wherever you are, just like we have lots of friends in Florida, Georgia, even the Carolinas, and heading up the East Coast because we're East Coasters. So just be careful and start to think about things. Like Brandon said, seriously, he asked me as we were getting ready today, like, shouldn't I stay behind with the house? And I said, when a storm that bad is coming through, there's really nothing you can do for the house. Like,
make sure homeowners insurance is
you either
place.
prepared for this storm or you didn't prepare for the storm. So that's where we're at.
I don't think I get it. We don't even have the stuff, like, our house doesn't have, like, the brackets to, like, board up the windows and stuff. That's, that would be terrible if something happens. But
well, we may want to call, like, a handyman up or something. You have a couple handyman guys that could help you out with that, like, around the house type stuff. That is not your forte at all.
No. You'd see me with, like, saran wrap on the windows or something silly. Cardboard, will that be good enough?
Windows. I use foil for everything, so we could use...
Oh, my gosh. So that's our madness this week. We're preparing for...
Our madness is waking up
the biggest hurricane that's hit Florida in... I don't even know how long. Charlie was probably the last. I think
Charlie was the last one, and that hit Fort Myers as a 3, and by the time it got to us, I think it was a 2.
Yeah,
right?
But seriously, homeowners insurance will cover everything. So the only thing that I'll be taking is the car because we'll need transportation and packing like the hard to replace things.
Yeah,
like and that's it. We gone.
This is crazy. This is serious madness right now to even think that, like, within a few days we need to get out of here. And so two quick things that really comes to mind, and then we'll move on. One, the madness of, like, I'm supposed to go to a concert this weekend. Mm-hmm. So depending on what day we leave, that might not happen anymore. We have to go and sit back and think about this now. They might even cancel it anyway or postpone it. Of course. It's Friday. So maybe not. Like, the storm's not even supposed to hit till Sunday or Monday. And then 2, it's Peyton's birthday party this weekend.
Hey, I'm sure we'll figure something out.
Yeah, I'm going to call the venue today and see if we can just push it out a couple of weeks. But that's sad. She had all these people, all her friends coming. Maybe more friends can make it when we move the date. Because she had quite a few of her really good friends that weren't going to be able to make it.
Well, if we go north, then she'll have family birthday party. Won't necessarily be as lively, but
oh yeah, that'll be a blast. So fun. All right, let's move on. So speaking of the kids, we have just a kind of different topic to talk about today because we have been talking about marriage and business, and we haven't really circled back around to parenting as much besides Middleton Madness. So we want to talk about just 5 ways to connect with your kids. Mm-hmm. And in our house, I'll let you do your take too, because I want to hear your perspective, like as the father. But you play a very active role as a dad in this house.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I mean, it's not like a compliment; it's a necessity, I believe. So, like, it's not like, oh, thanks. I mean, I do.
To have my wife validate that I'm an active dad is a compliment in my eyes.
it should be without a doubt, not a question, that every father plays an active role in their house. But a sad reality is that a lot of dads don't. Even if they're there, they're not there. So we just came up with some really good ways to connect with the kids that we use. And one that we haven't been using as much because they're a little young, but we've started to incorporate more, which is fun. But just the ways to get like connected with your children, because...
Why is that important?
I was just about to say that. You're like reading my mind. So when the kids feel, okay, I don't know about you guys, but to have 2 toddlers... they want our attention all the time. Mm-hmm. And if we're not giving it to them, they're bad.
You know so the saying, happy wife, happy life?
With happy kiddos.
There's no rhyme to it.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Keep them happy.
If the kids aren't engaged and happy, it definitely puts a strain on the marriage.
Everything. Your marriage, right? Like our marriage, like it's not like our marriage takes a hit, but our attitude does shift. And it does affect our mental well-being when the kids are being complete shits. So, and it happens. And literally, like, we're strong enough and communicate enough and put each other first that we can check each other in those times. Or, like, Brandon will see, like, oh, mom needs a little me time. Let's go, kids. Or I'll be like, dad's about to go crazy. You better just come over here with mom for a minute. But the reality is, we also don't always have like 100% A game, you know, and it can affect our attitudes in the house. And then it does shift the way the whole day goes, especially on like a weekend where the kids are just home all day. You know, in the week they're at school, so they can have a bad morning and I'll be like, it's almost time. It's almost time. And then I'll just take like a half hour to just go get a workout in and woosah, and then I'll be good for the rest of the day and we're great. But if they're like constantly on top of us and like pushing our buttons, it could be hard. Mm-hmm. So I think the best way to keep them happy is to stay connected with them.
Yep.
What's your take on it?
We didn't actually. We've had to figure some of these things out. It probably sounds ridiculous, but you know, when you have kids, they don't come with a rule book. So, and when you've been a couple for 13 years before having kids, like we weren't around a lot of kids. I mean, you had your siblings for a few years, but we weren't around a lot of kids. Our friends we didn't raise kids. We didn't have cousins and stuff, nieces and nephews. So I literally like have had to like research or slowly figure out like, oh, what are ways to like, you know, get very distracted young children like engaged outside of like, here's a coloring book, or my worst is the iPad. We just started letting them, you know, do a couple of games on the iPad. But I'm
not taking any credit for that horrible habit.
You have to watch it. Like we can't just like put them in front of the TV or put them in front of an iPad and then that's it, right? You gotta like engage them. So it's been fun to find these little things that they actually enjoy, because you might be like, oh, here's some Play-Doh, or oh, let's color, but that entertains them for like 5 minutes and then it's on to, you know, the next thing. So
so let's talk about these. So the first one is eat meals together and ask about each other's days. Mm-hmm. And they can do this as early as 2 years old. As long as they're talking, you can have a conversation with them. It may not be like life-provoking and really profound, but like they're funny little humans and they say some really cool things. And when you can just like look at them and be excited about whatever they're going to tell you, just be excited about it, and it ends up being so much fun. So we love eating meals together. Mm-hmm. I'd say we probably eat a good like 85 to 90% of our meals at home with the children. Even at their like little people, they have a little people table, and we even go eat at the little people table with them, which is hugely uncomfortable. Yeah. But
I feel like a giant.
Yeah. They usually sweet talk us into it.
I actually wanted to share a dinner meeting agenda that I got from one of my recent masterminds.
Do we follow this?
Awesome. No, well, they're a little young, but I'm looking forward to doing it.
So this is good for people with kids that are a little older.
Yeah. So if your kids are older, here's some questions for a dinner meeting agenda. So it starts with what's one thing that you're grateful for. That's always easy and fun. Just put you in the right attitude.
Yeah.
Yes, right?
Well, I mean, you do the thank yous, just to interrupt you real fast. Mm-hmm. Like, you do thank yous. We say, a prayer before dinner, and then like at the end of it, you're always like, and thank you for mommy for cooking us such a good dinner, and thank you for like you go around the table and you naturally do that, and then they say it too. They're like, thank you, mommy, and they like, and then I'm like, oh, I can enjoy my dinner. That was sweet.
The second thing is, what's one thing that you're happy about?
Okay, I like that. We could do that with the kids.
Happy.
We don't do that. We don't ask them that.
Happy about like the weekend or having their friends over or just whatever. What is one thing you did well today? Right?
Yeah.
Something from school, like Peyton's practicing her letters or whatever. So what's one thing you really did well? Help celebrate that. And what is one mistake you made today? I like this one a lot because, as entrepreneurs, we fail often, right? And I think it's important that, especially when they're young, they understand that failure is just part of the process.
Yeah.
So yeah, what's one mistake you made today? And then what can I do to fix it? So if they messed up on something or whatever, like they know that they can bring that to us and we can just kind of talk about it. So that's the dinner meeting agenda.
And we should be that like support for our kids, right? When they feel like they have a challenge or something. Like I want my children to grow up like they already do. Like they get a boo-boo and they run to mommy, right? Like I want them to be able to feel like when more important topics are coming up, they're like, our friend and her teenage son, where like he goes and he talks to his mom about just about everything, and they confide in each other and they trust each other, and I want to build that type of trust too. So I like that.
Starts young.
Yeah,
starts young.
It does. Cool. So besides eating your meals together, and if you don't do it, just try it. It's really nice to just it's part of our routine. And I would say maybe a little over the summer we're a little less consistent with it because we ate out a little bit more. But it's really nice. Like we buckle down a lot in the fall and the winter months. And even though we're in Florida and it's warmer, we still they're in school and there's more structure and it's a lot easier to be like, okay, it's time for dinner. Let's go sit. And it kind of brings us into number 2, which is like have a regular kids night to cook. I notice the kids like when we give them something to do. So you can make this whatever you want to make it. Some chore around the house or something, right? But the kids really like to help. So
like Peyton likes to stir.
Peyton likes to come stir. Max does too. Max likes when I'm not cooking something too hot on the stove, I'll let him help, and he really gets excited about that. When we're making pancakes, they like to stir the bananas in or whatever, right? Like they just really like to help. But I did read online and somebody had suggested this recently. Something similar to this was have them help set the table. Mm-hmm. So have them bring the napkins and the forks and everything and help and show them how to set things up and have them help.
Not the glass plates for toddlers.
Yeah, right. But we can give them the napkins and sit them down and let them fold the napkins and, have them place out the silverware and stuff like that. And not only does it take a little bit of time, but they feel like the attention's on them and they feel like you guys are doing something together and they feel like they're helping out. So when we give them praise, like, good job stirring that, Peyton. You did such a good job. She gets really excited, and it just helps grow her self-worth. Mm-hmm.
When you set the table, you're usually setting the table because you bring all the food to the table and then serve at the table. But you prepare all the plates first. You serve everybody.
Weird need for control over the situation. But I would, but you guys could set everything else up but the plates. Right?
Yeah, true.
And as they've been getting older, they've been getting really good with not Max so much because he's still a little young, but Peyton will help bring the plates with the food on it to the table, like their plates, not our plates. Yeah, here, take this giant plate of meat for your father to the table. She takes her little plate, or she'll take the bowl. We make them oatmeal for breakfast. They'll take their bowls of oatmeal to the table, and they're learning the sense of independence too. That they can go do these things on their own. So Peyton loves doing stuff like that and loves helping. So it's all up her alley. Max is kind of like, I'll let Peyton do it for me.
I like when they take their dirty dishes right to the sink.
They do.
I'm like, yes, clean up after yourself.
They go right. Oh, but you know what Max's new little sneaky thing is? I don't know if you noticed this. A little bit of madness mixed in here. When he doesn't really want to finish what he's eating, he waits for like a 2-second period when we're not watching him. And he goes and he runs and he opens the trash can and sticks the food in the garbage and then goes, done, and puts it in the sink.
Does he really?
He does.
I have not seen that
I've
yet.
seen him do it 2 or 3 times now. But it's been more than once. So I make note. And the last time I said, you weren't, like, you ate that fast. You finished all your oatmeal? And he was like, yes. And I was like, are you lying to me? And he's like, no, Mommy, I ate all my oatmeal. So I walked over to the sink and I looked in and the bowl was spot clean. And I went, good job. But in my head, I'm like, how did he never eats all that fast. And I was like, wait a minute. And I opened up the trash and all the oatmeal was sitting in the garbage. Yeah, sneaky little boy. So stay on top of your kids too. Number 3, do a one-on-one activity with each child once a week. And this one is huge. They don't like fighting for attention 100% of the time. It's just unfair. Mm-hmm. When I remember when Peyton was the only child in the house and she had undivided attention when it was time to focus on her, right? Like we gave her so much attention. And then when Max was born, there were things where I would tell Peyton or like, she still napped a lot because they were so close in age. So it was easy to give Max a lot of one-on-one time additional to Peyton. But now as they're getting older and they don't sleep as long for their naps and stuff, it's gotten a lot trickier. We have to get more creative. And we learned that...
the easiest thing right now is just to take one of them to the store. Which, I mean, even if I just have to go pick something up at the grocery store, like one of them's like, I want to go.
Yeah.
Taking them both is a little bit of a handful sometimes.
We don't usually do hugely exciting things with them on this, but just getting some one-on-one time, like you said, you'll take one to the store and maybe one will stay home with me and help me cook or help me clean, or they feel like usually it'll be Peyton that stays with me because she
take Max
likes
to the barbershop. He loves that.
Yep, you take Max to the barbershop and Peyton will stay with me and we'll do something. Even this morning. So you slept in this morning, not slept in to 10 or something crazy, but you slept in for us.
I know, it's amazing.
With Peyton. Peyton had crawled into bed and you guys had a little bit of just your time, even though you were sleeping. But Max and I spent the morning together. We got to hang out for a little while. We watched a show together. We talked about it while we were watching it.
Spirits this morning.
Because he was spent time with his mommy. Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't he be? We sat down when he was eating breakfast, and he said, you come sit with me, Mommy? And I said, sure. And we just sat and had a little breakfast conversation while he ate breakfast. And then I said, we're running out of time. We'll finish your breakfast in the car. Let's go get ready. And he just listened really well. And we went and got dressed. Everything was about Max.
He was cute. He didn't finish that in the car, but he was he gave me the napkin, and then he gave me the cookie. He's like, can you wrap this? Can you wrap this? I'll eat it after school.
He probably went to school hungry, though. That's all he wanted, the cookie.
They'll feed him.
The cookie, the biscuit thing that we gave him this morning. Mm-hmm. It's only a couple hundred calories in that thing. And if he didn't eat it all, then he went to school at least he has milk. Anyway, so doing a one-on-one activity with each child at least once a week, we could probably be a little bit more organized ourselves about which parent is taking which kid to what thing, but I don't really like to go to the store with both children. I'm fine with going with one, but I'm pretty quick about it. You'll take your time, and oh my gosh, that's just crazy. He's like, they're starting to go crazy, and I'm like, you've been gone for 3 hours. What do you expect? So maybe think about how much time you're doing, what in their age, and what's age appropriate.
Do we have any other suggestions for those one-on-one things?
Yes, like I said, it could even just be something in the house. I'll do a project or a craft. I'll play a game, or you'll read a book with Max. You'll do the Bible app. You guys do the Bible stories before bed. But I don't come in and interrupt you guys. Peyton doesn't either. You do Spanish with Peyton. Mm-hmm. I'll take Peyton and do a little girl time.
Apps are
so we'll paint Peyton's nails, and Max could really care less about that. Or we'll do, I'll pull out arts and crafts and do a craft with the kids, just stuff like that. I mean, there's tons of ideas.
Well, the trampoline park and stuff. We don't really do that one-on-one, though.
We don't really do that one-on-one. It's more like family date time. But really, you could pick anything.
She wanted to go to the park. She was busy this weekend. That park right up the street.
Oh,
you have a playground in your backyard. You want to go to the public one?
But if you are doing things all together, consider doing regular family date nights. We do regular family date nights. We have our husband and wife date nights, and then we do family date nights too.
That's usually how we get out of the house too, because they're like, no, we don't want you to leave, and we're like, but tomorrow
we're doing a family date night, and they're like, okay, well, only if you're good. And it's always like an incentive thing, like when you're good, we'll go on family date night, and they love it. They think it's so cool that we go out as a family. It really warms my heart how excited they get about it.
We got Saturday night church, which they have dinner in the
Yeah, so we call it date night because we drop them off at their church school, we go to ours, and then we get together as a family and have dinner. So that's an easy one.
They usually have music playing and stuff. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, we've gone to the trampoline park.
They get excited about just going to... Anytime we go to a restaurant, it's date night. That's what we call it.
Yeah, if you're doing a date night at a restaurant and you have kids under 5... go somewhere that is going to be loud.
Noisy, yeah.
Probably has other kids there where other parents will understand and just be empathetic and not give you side eye. And then it's really, really smart to just kind of know in your head what you're in the mood to eat and not sit down for a half hour. What absolutely drives me nuts is when we go on family date night with people visiting. We've gone with family before, and they don't know what it's like.
Yeah, you got to order.
They've never had young kids,
right away.
or they forget what it's like to have young kids, and they sit down and they look at the menu for 20 minutes, and they're like, "Are you ready to order?" And they're like, "We need another minute," and I'm like, "No, we don't. We need to order because my kids are going to freak out.
They're going to expire."
Yeah, and then you're not going to enjoy your dinner. So just hurry up and choose. I think what we'll do this week is pull together a PDF on some one-on-one activities and some regular family date night ideas. So you'll be able to check those out at MiddletonMethods.com for some ideas of what you can do one-on-one with your child or do on regular family date nights. I think that would be a good resource we could provide. Check out our site, MiddletonMethods.com for that.
Just put that in the show notes, maybe?
Yeah, we could put it in the show notes. We can do a separate blog, whatever. It doesn't matter. It'll be there. Just look for those ideas. If you are looking for some, you can always trust the Google too. But that's probably where I'm going to pull some of our ideas from. So you might as well just no need to go waste all your time doing that. You just head right on over to us. And the last one, number 5, is do their routine with them. This is huge in our house, especially at their age. I know as kids get a little older, they get a little bit more independent and don't really want you over their shoulder. But this works really well for our kids. And I'm sure even with older kids, we're going to find there's some things we can still do routinely with our children. Mm-hmm. But our kids have a routine. Even at 4 even at 4, I'll use Peyton. Even at 4 years old, there's a routine that we stick to.
You've had the routine since day 1.
Me?
You've been strict about the routine as it pertains to eating and sleeping. I mean, pretty much everything revolves around eating, sleeping, and that's it. Because there's the nap time, there's obviously meals.
And I'm going to say it hasn't made perfect, foolproof moments with our kids, but when you compare it to some of our friends that have no structure in their house, there is a difference. There's just a difference. Mm-hmm. I see the difference. It doesn't mean that they don't have well-behaved children too, but I
it's
don't
hard to plan around. It's hard to plan husband-wife time. It's hard to plan
when there's
work.
No consistency in
when
the
you're
house.
I don't know. The kids are going to go to bed at 8, or are they going to go to bed at midnight tonight?
And they're going to sleep until 10. And I don't know. I don't know. It's not for me. I don't agree with it. I don't feel like that's setting the kids up for success by not having them in some sort of routine and just letting them fly off and do whatever they feel like doing whenever they feel like doing it.
When do they stop napping?
They stop napping.
They're starting to get
at a maximum.
Starting to get shorter and shorter.
They are getting shorter and shorter, but that's because I think it's so loud in their school at nap time. They probably don't. I mean, they don't take 3-hour naps at school, but I think it's by kindergarten at the latest because they don't nap in kindergarten. And that's when it's going to go away. Maybe
they'll be tired and go to bed earlier, though.
Maybe. For a transitional period, they'll get tired and go to bed earlier, and then they're out here all day. So do their routine with them.
What does our routine look like? Give them a quick example.
Okay, so we wake up in the morning and feeling like P. Diddy. That was bad. Really bad. Why can't you come out? It's cuter when you do those jokes. So we wake up in the morning. We do usually a little relaxation. We'll watch a show or something.
5, 6 a.m.
Yeah,
early.
because I've read enough places that it does take a child a little time to wake up, and you can't just like force them out of bed, shove their clothes on and run out the door, or force them out of bed and just like shove them into like deep conversation.
We don't have to work for that though, because they naturally wake up early. Except for like Peyton is all of a sudden starting to sleep a little later and later, but still, if Max sleeps past 6:30, it's like groundbreaking.
Crazy. Yeah. So, but what I mean is like, we don't usually, well, yeah, I'm telling parents that do that, though, that they probably should have a little bit more opportunity for some routine in the
morning.
Start
making some noise early.
Yeah, I'll have to find the resources, but I did read that it's not good to just, like, rip your kids out of bed and rush them into the car. Like, it doesn't allow their brains the time that they need to wake up to be in, like, a good mood or whatever it was for their development.
Well, and as parents, that's your best time of day with them. At the end of the day, they're more tired and stressed from school.
I mean, I don't like to be rushed out of bed and have to run out the door to do anything, so I wouldn't expect it of my kids either. But when we get up, I put on a show. That's what they want to do. They just kind of want to wake up. They want a little time for themselves. I'm not going to make them read or something like that. So I'll put on, we usually watch 1 or 2 20-minute shows. Yeah.
Netflix.
PBS, something educational. And then we eat breakfast and get dressed and brush our teeth and do our hair and get ready for school. And we take them to school. We take them into school. We drop them off, give them hugs and kisses. Like, there is a set, like,
we usually got a good 2 hours before school to do all this stuff.
Yep. Spend a little time with them. And then in the evenings, it's like almost like the reverse. Like, we get home, we'll eat a snack. Brandon will take them in the pool or something while I cook dinner. And then we will, pool substitutes for bath time, or we do like a bath, and then we'll hang out for a little bit after dinner. The activity will vary. We try to switch that up a little in the evening. So we'll watch a movie, we'll do a puzzle, we'll read a book, we'll just have conversation. Sometimes we watch TV. Like, there's just like, we do a whole, sometimes we don't do any of that stuff.
Usually just want to like cuddle, like they're tired.
They usually want to cuddle. On the weekends, it varies a little bit more. Like, we'll go play with the toys and stuff like that. But it's funny enough, they're not into their toys as much on the weekdays. They just want like us at the end of the day. So as long as we're giving them attention, they're good.
I'm looking forward to it cooling down a little bit so that we can be. They like to go in the garage. Like, I open up the doors of the garage and they have all their toys, bikes, balls. The bounce house, all the stuff they like to play with, but if we do that at the end of the day now, like, they're all sweaty, and then we have a whole nother routine.
Now throw them in the pool or go give them a bath.
Right.
So that's it. Those are just some 5 ways to connect with your kids, and we notice a lot better attitudes and good times with the children when we are spending that time with them. So go connect with your children regularly.
I want to share one quick resource. This is faith-based, but I think anyone can enjoy it, regardless of your faith. It is called ParentQUE. It's
a new resource for me because I've never heard of it.
ParentQUE is...
He gets these great resources and then, like, hides them.
Yeah, it's my thing. Yeah, ParentQUE, CUE. Download it in the App Store. It's free. It has you put in the kids' date of birth and all that good stuff. And every single day, it gives you, like, a conversation starter and a cue, basically. And there's a few things I like about it. One, it actually tells you how old your child is, like, in terms of weeks. And it tells you how many weeks until they graduate. So, you know how we are on time. Like, it gives me a sense of urgency. Like, Peyton is going to graduate in 728 weeks.
Yeah.
Now, that sounds like a lot, but that ticks down every single week. And it's just a good reminder, like, we only have so much time with them before they're, off and being adults and stuff. So there's a short little video for each day. There's just a cue, like a reminder, quote, basically. There is a say this. So it just gives you a sentence or a question to ask your kid for the day. And then morning time, it says do this. And then it just gives you like a little positive message. And that's it.
So we talk about like
that's
him
awesome.
Being an engaged, he's engaged as a father. Like, these are the types of resources that should you want to be more engaged with your kids, take note on what he's doing, because these are, like, I have my own ways of engaging with the kids, and this is definitely, I think, more thought-provoking for you when you're telling me about the app. Like, I don't care how many weeks they have to graduate. I care about them now. Mm-hmm. What are they doing now? Why are they thinking the way they're thinking now? How do I help support their growth now? So a resource that I really like is called Baby Center. I've been on Baby Center since I was pregnant.
Before they were born, yeah.
Yep. It talked to me about their pregnancy, where they were at in their development in my belly, to the time they were born, and then from then on it was like week 1, week 2, and right now, like an example for Max, they're saying get outside. He's 2 years old. This week the tip is get outside. Your preschooler needs fresh air as much as he needs sleep and good food. Unfortunately, modern life has moved largely indoors. That's why it's important to build time
you can tell he wants to be
every
outside.
Day for your child to be in your backyard, a park, or a playground. Encourage your child to use outside time to run around and work his muscles. Being outdoors also provides a sensory stimulation. The sun, the birds, the dirt, that can be replicated indoors. And then you can go, there's a link to go read more about him this week, and I can go read more about him. I still read these every single week, even though I did this with Peyton. It's a good reminder for where Max is at. I feel like it can be easy to get lazy on the second kid because you've already done all the work on the first one. So this is like a constant reminder for me, like where he's at in his development and stuff.
I like it when you text them to me, because then it's a reminder that there's
it's my
nothing
thing.
wrong. There's nothing wrong with our kid. I'll be like, why is he acting this way? And the little summary will be like, here's how your child's developing, and here's how their attitude might be changing. And I'm
whenever
like, all right.
you have an issue with the kids and then it comes through, that's when I text you. I'm like, here you go, babe. This is exactly why, because they're 2, because they're 3.
Yeah.
And now we're going to go into 4 with Peyton, and it's going to be crazy. Yeah. They're going to be like, Miss Sassy Pants. This explains everything.
Yeah.
So
and I just want to remind you guys real quick, just take note, like, I'm a tech guy, right? I'm into apps and technology and stuff. So when I'm looking for ways to engage with the kid, I'm trying to find something that I'm going to use, because I know if it's not something that I think is cool or has a tracker or is an app, something that I can do easily, then I'm not going to be doing it regularly. So, find what works for you. If you're like
this thing interrupts me. I'm like, this thing interrupts me. This thing interrupts me once a week. Yours is like a daily thing. For me, that's like a whole new habit, time consuming. That's a lot. But this thing is once a week. So once a week, I know, like, instead of reading something on an app, like, okay, my kid wants to be outside more. I get it. Like, what can I do to make sure he's getting outside? Stuff like that. Yeah. But we have to move on.
Okay.
So
let's go.
We're going to go to these no BS business tips. How do you hold your spouse accountable at work? How did this come up? Like the brief summary?
It was a conversation with some friends that work with their spouse.
Okay. And they were like,
that is a good
how
question.
in the world do you get Sam to do stuff?
Yeah.
Is that basically like the blunt and dirty quick version of it?
Yeah, basically. How do you hold your spouse accountable professionally?
Okay.
And how do you confront them when they need to work on something, right? It's that when you're working with your spouse, that can be pretty...
So thank you, Anonymous.
touchy, right?
Yes,
you're like, so they missed the deadline, or they did something.
Me. I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and yes, it can easily turn into conversations like that. That was just an example of like what not to do.
Yeah. So how do you hold me accountable?
Do I? Yeah, I do. So the biggest thing with
without like
there's a few things
hurting my feelings.
I have to understand your personality type versus mine. So we've done things like take the DISC test.
That's huge.
I say these things because I'm a stronger, quicker, get it done, let's go, hurry up. It needed to be done yesterday. Why isn't this done yet? Kind of person. Where Brandon is like, it's going to happen when it happens. Like almost too, like for me, it's way too slow. His 6 months to my 1 week, like so we've had to find the middle ground, right? And so,
like she tends to actually be like future pace a lot. She'd be like, this is going to happen. And I'm like, not yet. We
still have 3 months. And I'm like, no, you don't. You have to do things now so that in 3 months I'm not having this conversation with you again. So
It's
besides
not always true.
understanding, he's going to try so hard to get out of it. You asked me, so you want to know, and this is what goes on in my head. And so take note, because when we're working together, right, like, he has to be very, very, very sensitive to how my worries, my fears, anything. And I have to be sensitive to not being on his ass, not micromanaging him. Like, those things are important, right? But I like things done yesterday and he likes things done in 6 months, or, you know, like, he's got a long, I'm not saying you like things, like, you want them done tomorrow too.
No, I'm just more like calculate. I have more in my, like,
and I'm
in
thinking, like, stop thinking and take more action, right? So it's just a different personality type. I'm like, you're thinking about it, you could be taking action on it. So, like, and it sounds like snotty the way I say it, but it is that abrupt when it goes through my head. So I have to take a step back and check myself. Like, ultimately, I can't put all this responsibility and pressure on you. Like, we have to work together as a team. So the first thing is, like, understanding that about your personality. I'm able to come and be a little bit more sensitive to your time frame, is my point. Because you're definitely getting a little defensive in the way I'm like, but I'm just expressing it in the way that, like, this is literally how it goes through my head. Like, and the last thing I want is to start thinking negatively about you, because I wanted something done in a week and you take a month to do it. Like, those things can literally cripple a marriage, because I'm worrying too much that he didn't get something done as quickly as I wanted him to. So the second thing, besides understanding this about each other, is sitting down and setting goals. Like, and I don't mean just big goals. I mean, like, if we have to we know every Tuesday morning we're recording this podcast and it is going to post on Thursday. We're going live on Facebook on Friday. And we know these things need to get done, and we know certain actions need to be taken in order for those things to happen on time. So it's a lot easier to not get mad at each other and hold each other accountable when we're working as a team and set these guidelines, right? So it's the same. Like, if we just say, like, oh, our big project is do real estate, and there's no targets for real estate, I can't hold you accountable.
Right.
And same with on the copywriting. If we don't have, like, guidelines to set, like, you can seem like you're nagging me if you're checking up on me. Hey, what have you done for copy this week? What do you care? Can you get off my butt? Like, this is like a creative thing, and we could easily go downhill. But if it's like, we have to have a sales page up next week, so we need to have this done by Tuesday so that the developer can have it done by Friday, right? Like, or the designer can have it done by Thursday and the developer can have it done by Friday. Like, we have set this goal, and now it's a lot different for coworker and coworker to come together and have a conversation about why something didn't get done, versus a husband and wife sounds like we're nagging each other, and that doesn't go anywhere good. So I think that's, like, my long-winded version of how to keep you accountable. Like, I'm, one, sensitive to your personality type, and then two, like, we have to set those targets, because you're a lot more receptive when I come to you and say, hey, you said you were going to do 5 deals a month. It's been 3 months. We're closing a couple deals a month. So what are we doing now to step this up? What changes need to be made?
So let me give you a couple quick takeaways. One, the personality is huge. I'm glad you started with that. So I wanted to give Chris a shout out here, but I couldn't find a free version of the DISC test. But the personality test, if you go to tonyrobbins.com/DISC, DISC, you can take the DISC test and find out where your strength. I definitely suggest you both take them. And if you're anything like us, they're going to be completely opposite. And that's just goes to show you, like, opposites attract, and you guys, that's how you balance each other out. Like, I resisted a long time that your personality was the strong D personality. But because I'm not, it's actually a great team effort. And if you embrace it, it goes a long way. So definitely take that test with your spouse. And then two, as far as the goals, we check in on those goals pretty much weekly. Every Monday morning we sit down, we have our whiteboard here, and what that does is it not only keeps us on the same page, but it also helps to to take some of the business stuff out of the marriage throughout the week. If something's bothering me, or if I want to talk about something, or if I want to, whatever, I basically put it on the agenda for Monday. So then if something comes up Wednesday, I don't feel like I have to talk about it at dinner. I don't feel like I have to bring up a sensitive topic and maybe have an argument.
That's a good point.
In the middle of the week.
Yeah.
We talk about it Monday, and if we don't talk about it that Monday, then I'm saving it more often than not for the following Monday. And
yeah, it's like how much of an emergency is it?
Right.
Can this wait till Monday to talk about? And usually the business stuff can.
Yep.
Maybe the relationship side of things can't, but we also have a date night every week, which is at the end of the week, which we sometimes talk business at anyway, or a lot of the times talk business at anyway, but it's more relaxed. It's more on the husband and wife side than the business side. So there's a second opportunity that we do give more lightheartedly at the end of the week to bring up these conversations again anyhow.
Yeah. And then what was the other thing? Oh, and then the other thing for me is you treat your spouse like another coworker in the sense that not like you necessarily talk to them exactly the same way.
But, you do not talk to me the same way.
No, but the way that I communicate, like I don't typically call up my managers and like have a big open conversation with them. I send them an email that's very clear, that has like expectations of this task, this task, this task. And sometimes when Sam and I aren't on the same page with like what I'm expecting of her, it's usually because I'm like, oh, I didn't email this to her. And it sounds so simple, but like we're so close, so sometimes I can get comfortable in thinking, oh, she already knows. I texted her this thing, and we had a long conversation about that, and I showed her this thing, on the computer, but that's not what I do with other members of the team. The other members of the team, I'm like, oh, I know this project has to get done. Let me give them an example. Let me send them this link. Let me outline all this stuff in an email, and then that email is like putting it on her to-do list. I know if it's in an email, she's going to handle it. But a lot of times, like if I text you something, you're like, if you text me, I'm not saving it. Like I look at it in that moment, but it's not the equivalent of a task. So
yeah, we actually just realized that a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about some project that Brandon wanted my help like writing for it. And he was like, oh, it's in my Evernote in a couple of places. Like, you can go look here and look here. And I was like, you want me to literally read your mind and put together all these things, but you would not do that for anybody else.
Right,
like, anybody else, you'd have an email going, first, I want you to do this, and second, I want you to do this. And you have this vision in your mind, and I want to help you execute this vision that you have, but don't make me guess, because if I come to you with something and it's not the way you wanted it because you made me guess, then you have to take it the way it is. Yeah. So if you want it a certain way, communicate it. So we over communicate. We definitely, when we're working, it's rare you'll see the husband and wife side come out. It happens, and usually it's when we're not getting along more than getting along, usually it's when we don't agree on something in business, and it does tend to spark more of feelings than just cut and dry business. Yeah. So, but when we're trucking along and stuff, people around us, they think that wow, these guys are really intense, and we're going, because we're not a husband and wife right now. I want to be loving to you, and I know you want to be loving to me, but we got stuff to take care of. We got bills to pay, and vacations we want to take, and things we want to do, and I don't have time to be sensitive about the way I'm going to make you feel about the way I say something. Just stuff just needs to get done, and I have to be receptive of that in return, right? So those just having that attitude adjustment too does help you stay more accountable as well. Yep. Because that's pretty much it. It's pretty simple.
Yep.
Okay. Well, let's go on to the marriage minute then.
All right.
Which is going to be another nice topic for Brandon today, because I am ragging on you for a brief minute, which is totally accidental that this actually came up this morning. But I found this article.
Well, something's wrong with my mic.
I found this article about the usage of cell phones. And I think that this is really important to talk about, because it is probably, get off your phone.
I'm actually going to do something. Go ahead.
Don't say spousal abuse that I smacked you in the arm. It drives me absolutely freaking up the wall when Brandon's on his phone a lot. I am not even nice about it.
I'm not even messing with you. I'm actually looking at
I know you are, and that's why I'm not yelling at you for it. I'm really not even nice about it anymore. If I think he's supposed to be spending time with the family and he's on his phone, pretty nasty about it. I'll just be pretty transparent. Like, I don't need to sugarcoat it. I am like, well, just get off your phone right now. Like, there's no like, honey, would you please?
It's rare that you're nasty.
Oh, thank you. Well, that's nice. Apparently, I think I'm nastier than I actually am. But I guess maybe that's a good thing that I don't come across that nasty. But I do think that there was a time in our life where you were glued to your phone, and it's left a little bit of a scar. So it does come up from time to time. But there was a time where we were like, grinding. Well, we're always grinding though. And it's different. And there are things to remember, like there's no amount of work that can be done that is more important than the marriage. And when you can't set some sort of boundaries, it's like, what is the point? So like you used to get on the phone at 10 o'clock at night.
Hey, when we're in survival mode, you can have this idea that you have to do. It's like a fear. If I don't pick up the phone, they might not pay me. And right. You haven't really like set your mark, and I get it. But what's an interesting transition is if I don't pick up the phone, they might not pay me this month. And in my mind, I'm thinking, if you don't put down the phone, you could lose your wife this month. Like that's important. And so I just had like a few little rules. Like they're rules that I actually found online that we kind of do. We practice these pretty much for the most part. And I don't want to say that this is all Brandon. This comes up more because Brandon does work a lot on technology, right? He's on the computer a lot. He's on the phone a lot. He takes a lot of phone calls. We're working on making a massive impact, period, with marriage and parenting and business. And it involves you being on your phone probably now more than you have in a really long time. And so I have to be more sensitive to just the roles we play in our business. But I have such an easy time. This thing has been on silent, upside down. I haven't looked at it while we've been on the podcast. It's always nearby. I have my iMessage that can pop up. I can see if it's an emergency or whatever. But I've never had something during our podcast come up that I'm like, whoa, emergency. I need to stop what I'm doing and take care of it. Because at the end of the day, for me, I think like most anything could wait like an hour, right? It's usually like if the babysitter texts, I go, excuse me, babe, excuse me, I'm sorry, but it's the babysitter. And I'll like check. But what are you laughing at? I just found some interesting stats about our cell phone usage.
He's probably going to say like, you're on your phone more because you're away more. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. We actually, we are both on our phones a lot. That's what I was saying.
Who isn't these days?
But I'm good at turning it off when I need to. You're pretty good at turning it off when you need to. But I think because you wear a watch and a phone and stuff, like you do get sidetracked more often. Like you'll forget to take your watch off, or you'll forget to put it on airplane mode, and it'll bing you, and you'll be like, oh, I should take this real quick. And I'm like, or you should not take that real quick. Just go put your stuff down. So I just have a couple of little things. What did you want to share? He's about to throw me under the bus or something?
Just that our data usage, you use 3 times as much data than me, and your text messages.
Oh, I'm on the internet all the time. That's why.
Are my 64 messages and your 154 messages.
So how many phone calls do you make compared to me?
That doesn't tell me.
How convenient.
Oh, you mean I'm actually talking? I don't talk on the phone a lot. Yeah, but it's not.
Oh, it's not showing?
No.
It doesn't show how many minutes compared to the other person? Although I get on the phone and I'll talk to one person for an hour. I don't think you do that as often.
No.
Okay, but I guarantee you make more phone calls than I do. I text a ton because it's quick and convenient. I do it when I want to. So I'm free to do a text message right now.
It's just something you have to be sensitive about. It's not about being right or wrong, even though I might be right.
Right. So I didn't say that you use the phone more. Let me clarify. I said you're on it all the time, which in my mind, I'm seeing it as you're on it when I don't think you should be. So you're on it like when we're eating dinner or something, which you're not that much anymore. Look at his face. This is weird because this is not the direction that the conversation is supposed to go in. So stop trying to prove like whatever you're proving. Machismo over here. There's just some things that we set in place along the way that really helped. And that's what I want to share with everybody today. Because regardless, you're on your phone a lot. I know I'm on my phone a lot. But there are times where like it's down. It's down. We don't look at it.
An example of this is dinner time. We do not get on our phones at dinner. I think occasionally we'll grab it because we want to take a picture. We want to take a quick Instagram because the kids are saying something cute. We want to share it. But it's by far one of the times that are like non-negotiable. We put it down. Date night is something you've gotten so much better about. What's worse than going on date night and then you're on your phone, like at the table?
I just forget about the phone during those times by putting it on Do Not Disturb. Like, if it's on Do Not Disturb, I don't hear it. It doesn't ring. It doesn't vibrate. It doesn't do anything.
So now I'm the opposite. I just don't look at it, but I can't have it on Do Not Disturb because I got to make sure the sitter can get a hold of us. But I check in. So, like, he likes to make a habit of do not disturb because if you disturb me, I'll get distracted. He's like a bright, shiny object. This is just a difference in personalities again, right? Like, how do you play with the cell phones and make it work for you guys? I'm more of a, I don't need to look at it. It's not that important to me. Like, I mean, straight up to, this is going to sound really morbid and horrible, but like somebody could pass away and I'm on a date night with you. And the last thing I want to do is look at my phone and in that moment hear that horrible news. Like, it can wait an hour. Like, nothing's going to change the fact that somebody died. Really bad example, but it is a good example. It's a bad but good. That was very, what do they call that?
Oxymoron.
An oxymoron. But that's a good example, right?
Yes.
So again, like, I'll check and I'll be like, if it wasn't the babysitter, it's not important right now.
And you turn the preview off. So you can see someone text, but you can't actually read the
what
message,
they're writing.
Which I should probably do that because
it does distract you.
Yeah,
right?
if you're like you're like, oh, what's the rest of that say? You know, versus just someone's trying to get a hold of me. It can wait.
Yeah, so it'll say like babysitter text, and I know to open it, but it can say friend text, and I'm like, oh, okay, like they can wait till you're. I'll maybe check my messages when he like runs to the bathroom or whatever. He parks the car because it's raining, and I'll just check in really fast. So we said kind of both, right? We said none at the dinner table and none on our date night. Here's another good one, and this is where we'll leave it today. When you want to talk about something important, do it in person. Don't text or talk about it on the phone. You can't really like. We'll talk about maybe like business stuff in text, but really important conversations we may bring up so that like as a reminder, like, hey, you want to talk about this later? But we usually do not discuss important things through text messages.
Right.
Those are like long conversations. Like, how do you do that anyway?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be rare. Like if there was an argument, I'd be more likely to text something. I'm
going to text you all my feelings right now.
well, because it takes all the emotion. It takes a lot of the emotion out of it.
And I actually don't like that. I think it's
rare.
Super insensitive and not really trying to fix it. It's just trying to get your word out without a response, in my viewpoint.
That's probably why it's only happened like a couple times a year.
Because I don't like it. Yeah, we actually don't use that resource a lot at all in conflict. We don't really fight a lot, so it's hard to like... It may be like intense days of business or something, and like, but okay, so the one time I would say is totally acceptable for us to do the text messaging is when I know you're busy with work.
Like traveling?
No, well, that's a no-brainer. You're not here. Like, I can't come talk to you in person. Like, if we're working, I don't like when you come and interrupt me if I'm doing something because my focus is on it, and so I don't like to do that to you either, right? And we have to set those boundaries since we work in the same place together, and that's one of the biggest reasons we've never gotten like an office, because we've never wanted to have 5 people that constantly are interrupting us all day. So we love working from home because we have a good routine over here. But I'll text you if I need something, but it's not an emergency. So if I need something for like my task list, but I know you're working on something really important, I'm like, usually my question is always, is this that important? Can this wait? And if it can, great. If not, I come in and I interrupt you. But I'd say that's like the one acceptable time, that being on the phone a lot or texting each other is okay. But what are, in your opinion, and we'll keep it like maybe 5 minutes or less, 2 minutes or less, what are some like opinions of like, do you have any non-negotiables or besides what we already mentioned?
For the phone?
Yeah. Obviously, you don't want to be on it when you're having sex. That would just be so rude. I'm like rude. You're like weird.
In bed, period.
Yeah, that's true.
I swipe up to hit the little alarm, to set the alarm for the morning, and to swipe up and make sure it's on Do Not Disturb.
You're right.
But I don't
that
actually...
That is another good rule that we have. We turn it off when we're getting in. Not off, but we turn it like... I turn mine over.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people struggle with having the phone by the bed in the bedroom and stuff like that, but that's
so tempting to get on Facebook.
That's never been a struggle. Now we watch TV instead. Like that's our bedtime routine is like get in bed and have some show or whatever that we like to watch. But usually by the time we go into the bedroom, like we're tired. We're planning on being asleep within the hour. So
yeah, we still connect though versus
getting
like
on the
being
phone
on our
not...
phone. Like even though the TV's on, we'll still talk or do like massages or just something, right?
Yeah.
Like we'll cuddle, whatever it is. Except for the nights that we're so tired that we just totally fall asleep.
Yeah.
But that's still different than looking at my phone.
But if you don't have the discipline to not be on the phone in bed, if it's next to the bed, then I have friends that will put it in the bathroom. They wake up and they do their bathroom routine, so it's there for them. But
really, you have people that literally leave it way far away from them?
Yeah, Dan puts it in his kitchen.
Oh, interesting.
Yep, and I think Mark was telling, I don't know if he does it, but for the kids, they started that Our Pact, I think it is. I think that's a different app. He actually has something where he can like turn off the whole house's like data, and like they put it in they can like lock it in a box and time it, and like their devices are away for a certain amount of time.
Wow.
Yeah.
You told me that because you want to try it, or that sounds a
when the
scary.
Kids are older and they do actually have cell phones, like to start to teach them. Yeah, I mean, I watched we'll
have to lead by example for sure.
This is the second time in 4 years that I've given the kids the iPad, and they do only have like maybe like a half hour of usage. But if we're ever lazy and they get it for a little bit longer, like I literally watch their brains like cook, and I watch their little attitudes change, like because it's so much. I don't know if it's like sensory overload or if it's like a uber amount of entertainment or what, but it's like cute for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, but after that, and maybe it's just our kids, I doubt it, but they get like too into it. So they need to, when they're older, think about it. And they're, being all super social and stuff, and that's how they're going to connect with their friends.
Think about that for us too, though. Then I wonder,
all over it.
I'm going to start thinking about that this week, the amount of time that we actually spend on our phones. And is that like sensory overload and almost like abusive to ourselves at a certain point?
Oh, I don't think so. I mean, I'm more and more sick of my phone. No, seriously. Like, I only recently got back on social media because of what we're doing with Middleton Methods. But I didn't post for like 2 years. Now I'm like posting, I'm like sharing my old memories because Facebook just made it that much easier for me. But yeah.
All right, cool. So there's just a few little things
Unless I'm
about
making
texting.
money. That's what.
The whole point is put the phones down, connect with your spouse, and not be like, I like to actually see your eyeballs. I know I told you that like a lot back in the day. I'm like, I actually want you to like look at me in the eye and not just be staring at your phone all the time. Yeah. So for a while, like I really did not like Siri, and she was like the other woman, and I was like ready for her to go away. So we have some good balance now on it, and for the most part, you are great. I always just you're always
dig it in the little. More. Always pushing for more.
Pushing for greatness.
Yeah, ain't nothing wrong with it.
Cool. Thanks, guys, for tuning in this week.
Yep.
Don't forget to go check us out on iTunes and give us a rating, please. A 5-star review. It's so funny. We have friends that literally go listen to us on iTunes every week and don't know how to leave a review. So I think we're going to have to make some instructions or something. Yeah. But every time you guys leave a review, it gets us that much closer to being recognized on iTunes as like a podcast you got to go listen to.
Yep.
Check us out on MiddletonMethods.com. Are you going to take over at any point?
I don't know. You were doing so good. I thought you could just take us out. But yeah, guys, you know the drill. Share, help us get this thing out. And finally, what is this saying? I was just hearing it on something we were watching again, and it's Quest says it a lot. It's so true. Like marriages don't just happen. Our business, our life, parenting, it doesn't just happen. You have to put in that work. So we're putting in the work to make it work. We're trying to share every little resource. Anytime we're doing research for ourselves, for our own family, we're trying to bring that to you each and every week. So take what you want. What you don't want, don't take. And we really want to get your feedback. We want to hear if there's something that's working for you that you got from the podcast. We'd love to hear it. And if you're finding other things, if this conversation provokes a conversation in your home, or you find a different resource, please bring those to us. That's how we're going to continue to have more. You know, it takes a lot to think of new topics and new things after 37 episodes. So we'd love your feedback. You got any people that you think should be a guest on our show that you'd like us to interview? We would love those suggestions. So just hit us up on Facebook, direct message either one of us, or email Brandon or Sam at MiddletonMethods.com.
Well, Brandon at MiddletonMethods.com
or Sam at MiddletonMethods.com. Well, that's it, guys. It's been another
Not Brandon
episode
or Sam at MiddletonMethods.com.
of the Middleton Methods podcast. We will see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Take care.
I can make the pain disappear, and I can erase the past. Oh, I can make the future shine so bright, and I can make right now.